Chapter 28 Secrets and Stories Shared. When last met, the party, along with everyone within earshot, awoke at Perkring's morning crow. Most of the party decided to stay awake and started working, with the only exception being Leste, who was still exhausted from the manual labor of the day prior. Perkring, Domitanus, and Joker continued delivering letters like the day prior. Nixie, now tagged along by Maka, went to the temple to provide aid, and Sonora continued to search the city for lost personal items, along with lost books today. Leste eventually rose as well and continued her job of moving rubble, but after performing hours and hours of labor, everyone returned to the party's encampment. They all took a moment to enjoy the company of one another after a long day of work, and Leste took some time to write a pair of letters addressed to Bronca and the head of the Mere Day Circle, respectively. After some time, everyone called it for the night and drifted to sleep. As Sonora's mind started to rest, she began falling, back to the cave where her last vision took her. This was strange for her. Normally, when she had a dream like this, she started the dream by voluntarily opening a door or parting a veil into the dream, but tonight it seemed like she was forced into it. She began looking around, and her eyes met Lisette's figure, slumped along the wall. Lisette was not moving. Her mask wasn't swirling like it had in the past, and seemingly was not breathing. So, Sonora approached. She noticed fractures all along Lisette's mask as she got closer, but that did not do much to answer why Lisette was in this condition. So, she continued to the room where the obscured figure was last time. Again, she could feel their presence in the other room long before she saw it, and again, the figure was obscured from this divination. This time, the obscured figure was accompanied by two lesser obscured figures kneeling in front of her, and a third, non-obscured, masked figure. The greater obscured figure then reached out to the masked one, having magic travel between the two, which then obscured the masked. With the spell complete, the greater figure then turned, facelessly staring down Sonora. As soon as she figured out she was no longer hidden, she was torn out of the dream and awoke. It was still the middle of the night, so unbothered, she went right back to sleep. At dawn, again, Perkring gave his morning crow, inviting the day to start. Breakfast was as normal as it could be, and people yet again got back to work. Perkring and Joker continued delivering letters, Maka continued her work at the temple, Leste continued moving rubble, and Sonora continued to try to find lost items. Domitanus and Nixie, however, decided to switch things up, going to the guild house to do some hunting. Once there, they met up with Recklin and Tithera, then proceeded to hunt under their strict supervision to not cause long-standing damage to the wild's ecosystem. With the party making a dent in the work available in the city, Perkring and Leste found themselves having a bit more time to devote to other tasks. Perkring decided to look through the rubble of the city for shinies, which paid off as he found many to make his hoard grander. Leste decided to look for the shepherds of Savine that she heard were here to help the city. As she began looking for individuals, she caught on quickly that they were scattered pretty evenly across the town, helping with various tasks as they were easy enough to spot, with their bright green scarves, cloaks, and hoods, which bore the simplified symbol of Savine. As she was determining which one to approach, she noticed an older elven man near the temple that stood out of the shepherds. He was adorned in a robe, slightly oversized for him, that had the full, non-simplified symbol of Savine. At seeing that, she knew Kaun had to see it. So, she approached him when he was not occupied. Leste introduced herself, and he in kind introduced himself as Essere, captain of the Shepherds of Savine. Leste grew eager in learning about the shepherds and the man, and he was happy to share what he knew. He explained how the shepherds are an old group that had their exact origin lost to time, but nowadays are known for having followers from practically every country. Their main goal is to provide aid to those suffering during wartime, explicitly not taking sides in the war, just providing support to those caught in the crossfire of it. This made Leste grow curious about the shepherds intervening during the Draconic War, and to his knowledge, They helped those that fought alongside the dragons and Hala alike. They neither condoned nor condemned either side. Instead, they just focused entirely on helping the innocents caught up in the conflict. As for informing her of himself, he admitted that he is a very old elf in the last century or two of his life. He has spent much of it with the shepherds, helping provide aid to those in need, such as being the one to organize the delivery of goods between Vandam and Circe. In his time with the organization, he kept going up in the ranks until he became the captain and was entrusted with donning the shepherd's robe. Leslie wanted to learn more about the man himself and not the ties to the organization, so she asked him about his home and what his homeland thought of Valhira. He went on, saying he was from Vidale, but at this point he was somewhat out of touch with his own country due to his time in the Shepherds. He did at least know that Vidale was still choosing its patron deity, and they seemed to be deciding upon either a Lily or Culid to be their patron. That made Valhira and Vidale's relationship seem promising to him, but at the moment he could not give an informed opinion outside of that. Throughout this entire conversation, Leslie couldn't help but feel he was speaking nothing but honestly, and was a genuine man of integrity who just wanted to do good. Because of that, she asked if the two of them could go somewhere private of his choice, so she could reveal to him something. He grew confused, but nonetheless was intrigued at her request. So he led her to his temporary office in the temple. He invited her in and let her inspect the area to determine if it was private enough for her liking. And when she found no issue in the room, he closed the door and sat behind his desk. Before she showed him anything, she asked that he swear upon the symbol of his robe that he would not speak of what he was about to see until it was public knowledge. He took this request seriously and vowed upon the symbol of Savine for his silence. She then opened Count's bag, and he crawled out of it, laying eyes upon the man. The two shared a similar curiosity, both seeing something for the first time. Essere admired Kaun in silence, and Kaun followed his lead. So the two sat there, wordless, until Leste spoke up. She explained that she wanted this meeting as she was tasked by Kaun's mother to guide him through the world, letting him see the amazing things that the world has to offer. She was afraid to show him off because, for a while, she did not know if she had the strength to protect him, but she and her party had proven that they now can. As such, she already made plans to reveal him to the world, but Esere's robe was something important enough to make an exception to her schedule. Essere understood and showed off the symbol to Kaun. He looked at the symbol and noticed a golden, shimmering glow faintly emanating from it, but did not fully understand its importance. Leste explained that the symbol was one innately tied to the god Savine, and that the robe is a relic of extreme cultural and religious importance, so laying eyes upon it is a gift of sorts. She then looked up at Ezere and asked if he had ever seen a dragon. He admitted he had, but it was a transport dragon he saw from far away a few decades ago. He had never seen a dragon so young, so close to him, and he fully understood the importance of her showing him Kaun. For that, he was grateful. With not much else to do, Kaun returned to his bag, and Essere started to lead Leste out of the office. Before the two departed, she let him know that Kaun was planned to be revealed to the world in a few weeks. Once the news of Kaun spreads to Circe, she encouraged him to talk about what happened today. He gave a simple nod and a smile. Then the two departed. With much of the day remaining, Essere continued to help those in the city, and Leste continued to clear rubble from the city. The day passed yet again with everyone getting coin for their work, and the party reunited at their encampment once again. Here, everyone talked about their expectations for travel and how much coin they had collected. It seemed everyone already had enough coin to cover their own, and even Joker's travel, so it was then quickly decided that rather than spend more time here, the party would head off tomorrow morning. Before the night could end, though, Leste and Nixie had some people they wanted to visit before leaving, so they both headed off on their own for the remainder of the night. Leste headed off to Lily Iris, the bookkeeper of the library in Circe. Leste was able to find her with relative ease as she was still in the library, and just like with Essere, she asked if she could have a one-on-one with her in private to let her know of a secret. She agreed, and the two found a quiet place amongst the rubble of the city. Here, Leste thanked Lily once again for the act of kindness she showed at the battle, letting her borrow her bag to keep something important safe. Now that the battle was long over and safety was returning to the city, Leste wanted to show her what she was protecting that night. She opened Cowan's bag, and at first Lily was confused, then intrigued, then outright overwhelmed as Cowan crawled out of his bag. She was overwhelmingly excited, but silent, jumping up and down at seeing a dragon for the first time, and Cowan could not help but match her energy, doing much the same. Leste let her know that she wanted her to see Cowan because she was the first person to help him in his journey, with no motivation outside of being kind. She had no way of knowing at the time she was helping protect a dragon egg, and she asked for no reward for her kindness, but nonetheless, she was going to get one. Lily became shocked at that idea, then became stunned when Leste reached inside Cowan's bag and grabbed a shard of Cowan's egg, gifting it to her. She had no way of expressing her gratitude, but Leste assured her that she had faith in her, that she would preserve it and display it respectfully. All Leste asked was for her to keep it a secret until Cowan was publicly known. Lily thanked her for everything, gave a hug to Cowan, then let him return to his bag, telling the dragon how much she loved seeing him as he disappeared into it. The two then silently departed, not speaking of what happened, back to where they planned to get rest for the night. While that went down, Nixie headed off to Celia, Creek, and their horse, Jitterbug. She simply wanted to have a chat with those she considered friends, so the three of them shared wine, and through druidic magic, all, including Jitterbug, talked merrily into the night until they all needed to sleep. Once the time called for it, Nixie returned to the party's encampment and went to rest like everyone else already had. With that, let us continue.